Hey, y'all, and welcome back to Savvy Mayven, where faith meets real life and we grow without the pressure of trying to be perfect. My name is Janisha, and on this channel, we talk all about faith, leadership, healing, and purpose for women who are done playing small and ready to walk boldly in who God has called them to be. If that's you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so that you never miss a word of wisdom, encouragement, or truth that we share here on our channel. I post videos every Tuesday, so mark your calendars and come back weekly for a fresh reminder so that you're not alone and that you're not behind, okay? So now let's get into it. In today's video, for today's conversation, this is really about the woman who has been silently beating herself up for any kind of decision that she made. Okay. It could be that one decision, it could be multiple decisions that you made. It could be that maybe you took the job. Maybe you moved to that city. Maybe you trusted that person or you said yeah when you should have really said no. Or maybe you thought you heard from God, but the outcome didn't look like what you expected. Now you're sitting in regret. You're wrestling with shame and you're wondering if you just messed up everything. Okay. If that's you, pause this. Just take a moment and take a deep breath. Okay. Inhale and exhale. You're not alone. And more importantly, you are not stuck. Okay. So let's talk about when regret tries to become your identity and how to move forward with wisdom and clarity and grace. Okay. So, first, I want to talk about what regret really does, and then I'm going to break that down into sections and kind of give you some examples to help you walk through that. So, what I've learned about regret is that it doesn't always show up loud. Okay, sometimes it's a silent whisper, it's a soft whisper, rather, or maybe it's one of those things where something in you says, "Man, I should have known better," or I feel like I messed it up for everybody, or that I've missed God's will for my life. And that is honestly the voice of shame. Okay. And shame is really sneaky, it's messy, and it's just a lot. Okay. And so it sounds a lot like responsibility, but it's really condemnation in disguise. Okay. And so what I want to do is reference a scripture in the Bible here. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. My actual Bible's in the other room. So I'm going to pull it up here and then I'm going to share it on the screen. It's coming from the book of Romans and verse 1. Let's go verse 1 through just 1 and verse 1 and 2. Okay. So Romans 1 1 through 2 says there, so now there is no condemnation for those who belong to Christ Jesus. And because you belong to him, the power of the life-giving spirit has freed you from the power of sin that leads to death. Okay. So if you are walking around feeling condemned, you're feeling very heavy and you're feeling stuck, that's not Jesus, that's a trap. Okay. And so when you have regret, if you leave that unchecked, then that becomes a form of self sabotage. Remember in episode 1, we kind of kicked off with talking about self sabotage. I just feel like that is a big subject that deserves some attention because sometimes we really don't recognize when we are doing that to ourselves. Okay. And so that keeps us from believing that we, um, are not capable of still having joy in our life, like grace or having a new beginning. And it blocks us from praying boldly to the Lord again. Because once we have that moment of regret, we feel like we can't come before him with our confidence, with our boldness. And God, you said, your word said, we feel like we can't do that because of the decisions that we have made. Okay. And so this makes you question yourself and even if you can actually move forward. But hear me, okay? And I'm speaking to myself too. So as I'm encouraging you, I'm also encouraging myself. Okay. So hear me out. You are not disqualified. Okay. God did not change his mind on you. And you don't have to feel like you are stuck in this moment forever. It may feel like that. It may feel like you just can't come up for air, but trust me, sis, you won't be in that place forever. Okay. And you don't have to live in that moment in your mind forever, also. Okay. So, what I want to do now is share with you, and I'm just referencing my notes here. I want to share with you 5 ways to reset after regret. Okay. So, let's get into it. So, there are 5 things that I want you to hold on to whenever regret tries to keep you bound. Okay. And you could grab a pen, paper, pause the video, whatever you need to do, or just rewatch the video, share it with a friend. So, number one, I want you to remember who holds your story. Okay. So in the word of God, I believe it's in Psalms. It is Psalms, and I'm going to put these scriptures up here too, y'all. Psalms, um, Psalms 37. I'm reading in the New Living Translation as well. And it says that the Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. And another version says um, that the Lord makes firm the steps of the one that delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Okay. And so, sis, your steps have always been seen, even the missteps. Okay. And sometimes we treat regret like a sign that we have forfeited our future. And God doesn't tear up your story just because you chose something he didn't originally write in. Okay. God is so sovereign. He's such a gentleman. He's such a good father, and he is a redeemer. Okay. That means that he knows how to take those detours, those disappointments, and even that disobedience and still use it to develop your character and even deepen your trust in him. So let me be real. I, um, I'm gonna be this what this channel is about. I'm gonna be real. So I once accepted a role that I was convinced was in God's will. Okay. I prayed, I journaled, I even fasted, I did all the things, felt like I saw all the signs, miracles, and wonders. Okay. And once I got into it, I realized that I was in the wrong space. And I ended up staying there longer than I should have, questioning everything about my ability to God, like about my education, about the decision that I made. Like, did I hear you? But what I didn't realize was at that time, that even though it wasn't the perfect fit, he still used that situation, that season to refine my voice and really get me to sharpen my discernment and show me like what alignment really and truly looks like. So it was one of those things where he was like, my daughter, you are not off the path. You are in the hands of your father. I am the author and finisher of your faith. Okay. I created you. So you're okay. So what I want y'all to do is just say this with me. My story isn't ruined, it's being rewritten with grace. Listen one more time. My story is not ruined, it's being rewritten with grace. So I want you to just hold on to that and just know that God is the author and finisher of your life. He created you, He has the final say, and He can change anything whenever He wants to change it. Okay. But for us, it feels like a change, but He foreknew us. Okay. So whatever we're going to do or whatever, He already knows that. But for us, it feels like a change. So, number 2, I want you to be able to forgive yourself out loud. Okay. If you are like me, a recovering overthinker, you will always keep these thoughts in your head. And so we need to, if we have it in us to outwardly forgive others and do so freely, we need to give that same respect and regard to ourselves. Okay. So we need to like love ourselves more and not keep records of our wrongs. Okay. Because God doesn't keep any records of our wrongs. So you like get into these situations where you remember what you said because you learned the first time, right? Or a time before, but then you ignored it. And then you rushed into the next thing that you didn't really seek God for, you didn't ask for his clarity on. And now you are like, well, I can't forgive myself for making that mistake or whatever. But here's the thing, sis. Healing cannot coexist where there is self-hate or there's not self-love put there, okay? Because God has already forgiven you. And the one that is holding this over your head is you. Okay. I have to encourage myself and remind myself of this all the time because I don't always get it right. But I do remember, like for instance, in my personal life, staying in a relationship that I knew was not healthy. God had already warned me. Like I could like hear him so clearly and the tears running down my face. But I'm like, no, I have to show up because that'll be a whole nother testimony for a whole different day. But I had all like the red flags, the gut checks, the sweating, like my body was like not even feeling at ease. And the people around me were even offering gentle warnings that I just was like, no, I got this because you will never understand. You've never been in this position. So how can you tell me? One of those. But I wanted it to work so bad. And then when it didn't, the shame became so suffocating. It was one of those decisions that you just couldn't easily get out of. And I kept asking myself, like, why didn't I get out of this sooner? Why did I ignore God? Why did I ignore all the signs? When I asked God to send me signs, miracles, and wonders, he was sending them. But why was I ignoring those? And so it took me time to really speak grace, actually some years, to be honest, to speak grace over myself, over the version of myself that I was becoming. That, Janisha, you're not dumb. You're not stupid. You were being hopeful. You were using the information that you had in that time. You were operating in your flesh, and just acknowledging and owning that about myself. And that I do deserve compassion, not criticism. Like I can't be beating myself up. And so if God has forgiven me, I have to truly forgive myself because I'm the only one that's holding on to that and hanging that over my head. And so, another affirmation, ladies, that you can say if this has been you, just simply say that I forgive myself for what I did wrong, what I didn't know then, and I choose to let go of that punishment that I've been giving myself. Okay, it's time to take yourself out of the punishment corner and just forgive yourself because if you, like the saying says, if I only knew then what I know now, if I knew now what I knew then, you know how that goes. If you knew better, then you would have done better. Hopefully, you're supposed to. And so if you struggle with that, just simply ask God to help forgive you for or to help you forgive yourself for what you've done because honestly the healing journey includes you too. So it's not just other people around you or the external factors, it's actually you loving on yourself. And so yes, that's super important. Another topic or another point I want to give y'all is um that stop rewriting the past. Okay, don't rewrite the past. Let's just stop that. And let's just start focusing on writing that next chapter. Okay, so in the near future, I will be producing something that I pray is going to bring a lot of transformation and release and um like a weight being lifted off of a lot of people by sharing this production with you all. And so, what I want you to do is start writing the next chapter, whether that is how you look at yourself on a day to day, journaling, how you talk to yourself. Okay. And so, when you write the next chapter, it doesn't mean that you forget. So, when you let go of the past, it doesn't mean that you forget. It means that you have released the grip on the things that you simply cannot change. Okay. The time is gone. The money is spent. The decision was made. The kids were had, whatever the case may be. Some of us are still trying to spiritually time travel and we will never work at that. Okay. That will never happen. Okay. We can't keep replaying these scenarios, editing them in our heads and wondering how life would be if we did X instead of Y. Okay. We can't do that to ourselves. Now, I've been there too. And kind of similar to the job situation, after leaving that job that drained me, caused my health to be all out of control, I spent months really obsessing over how I could have changed or handled that exit better. Should I have stayed longer? Should I have left earlier? Should I have even saved more money? Should I have even accepted the job? And all that mental rehashing didn't change anything. It just ate up the time that I'll never get back, and it delayed my healing. Let me say that again. It ate up the time that I won't get back, and it delayed my healing. That's all it did. But the past is sealed, and God is present. God is forgiven. I have to forgive myself, and He is doing a new thing. And so in Isaiah 43, I know it says so. It says that um God is doing a new thing in you, and but you won't perceive it if your eyes are stuck in yesterday. Okay, so if you are looking behind, then you won't perceive what God has for you in the future, or what He's already put in front of you right now. Okay, so instead of that, I want you to look at this and say, God, as I write this next chapter, what do you want me to co-author with you next? Okay. So this chapter hasn't been written yet. It starts with your yes today. So when you give that yes, that's when that chapter officially starts. And if you say yeah and then you fumble, then you start again. Okay. It's going to be a whole lot of new chapters going, but you have to move forward with grace. Sorry, y'all. Down here in the South, I guess it's everywhere. These little gnats be coming, and I don't do bugs. My bad. Um, the fourth thing I want to share with you is asking God to show you the lesson, not just the exit. I'm guilty of this. Okay. And what I want you to know is that God is the fruit of reflection. And sometimes we get so eager to get out of the uncomfortable season that we forget to extract the wisdom from that season. It could be maybe it's the mistake that that in and of itself revealed a blind spot in our lives and our situations. Maybe it uncovered like a fear that still runs the show. It still takes over us, some fears that we haven't dealt with from our past, some things that are traumatic in our lives that we still hold on to, that something that triggers that and then it ignites that again. Maybe it showed up in how easily influenced you are, like whenever you're tired or you're lonely or you're really feeling unsure, your thoughts are everywhere. Usually for me, my hormones are all out of control. And that's when I start doing the most in terms of like thinking. And I'm like wanting to get out of a situation so bad. So when I moved to a new city, and that's a whole nother testimony. Y'all, I can't wait to share that testimony. When I moved to the city that I'm in now, um, what I thought was faith, I didn't prepare well. There were some things that I did not prepare well, but I will say this. Um, God did give me the word to move. He I didn't count the emotional cost. I didn't count the financial projection. I didn't count the spiritual warfare that I would have to deal with. And there's a lot that comes on that journey. For me, that was a new chapter, a new start for me, but I didn't expect all the things. Like in the back of my mind, I kind of felt like a lot of things is about to shift about me, but I didn't expect the things that I had been going through. And so there were some decisions that I made that I had asked God to forgive me on, even though I don't have to, He's already forgiven, but I felt like I needed to say it, but that I've had to forgive myself on and realize that faith and fear cannot coexist in the same space. Okay. And so instead of getting out of that situation in such a rush, I had to ask, Lord, what is it that you want me to heal from? Please expose to me, what is it that you want me to heal from? Why am I making these decisions? Why am I thinking this way? What is it that I need to surrender so that I don't circle this whole mountain again? Because I don't listen, I can't climb. I don't want to climb like that. It's exhausting and it's massive and it takes a lot of time and it can be really painful if you just keep pressing at it. So I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do to surrender so I don't have to go through this again? So God, give me the wisdom, give me the discernment, make me wiser in this so that I can stop myself, seek your face and what it is that you want me to do before I go ahead and just, do my own thing. Okay. And then lastly, I want to share with you that you are to choose grace over condemnation every single time. So I start saying this now whenever there's like a situation where somebody's feeling like overwhelmed or they are like wanting to hurry up with the situation or whatever, like give them grace. Just give them grace. Somebody made a mistake, give them grace. Give yourself grace. over condemning yourself every single time. Don't skip a beat. Okay? Don't do that. Don't be frivolous in life. Don't be doing things just is out there, that without a shadow of a doubt that's out there, but you want to, oh, I'm gonna back it up with asking for grace in this. No, don't do that. So again, kind of back to Romans, it's Romans is not really offering that as a suggestion to you. Okay. And I'm gonna read it again. It says, um, sorry, y'all. It says, so there is no condemnation for those who belong to Christ Jesus. Okay. It's a promise. God will not condemn you. If you belong to him, you are his. And so condemnation keeps you hidden. Okay. It keeps you from not showing up. And so grace will call you forward. It calls you to acknowledge what it is that happened, and grace, because God is so merciful and he's so graceful that he gives us that opportunity, that second wind, that breath of life that he gives us to move forward. And so I want you to hear me clearly now. The enemy really wants us to stay in guilt and like spiral out of control, um, spaz out, whatever y'all call it, because you're busy hating yourself. And he knows that, okay, if you keep doing this, you're going to stop showing up because you're so exhausted with the mental anguish that comes with that. And so you have to know that you are still needed, that you are still called, that you are still useful. And I remember when I wanted to hide, um, after a business that I started, and I was grooving in this business idea. Some life stuff happened where I became a responsible person for that. It became overwhelming and I had to let my business go. It didn't work out. But then people kept asking me about my business and how I'm going to, am I still doing my business and all of this. And I had to keep feeling like I had to make these excuses. And it just was exhausting because like I felt embarrassed that I had positioned myself out there. I've got this brand. I'm going to do this thing. I just lost all my energy, all my momentum, because a whole nother set of responsibilities piled on me that I really didn't sign up for, if that makes any sense. And so I had to make a choice, and I don't regret that choice, but it still hurts because it was something that I finally felt like, okay, this is my thing. I could do this and I enjoy it. Um, but then it's like, maybe I wasn't cut out to be this entrepreneur that I thought I was. Maybe I should have made some different decisions at that time. But one day I just like decided to just reason with like, Lord, I just give it to you. If it's meant for me to start that again, then I'll start it again. It doesn't mean that because I had to stop the business that I'm a failure. Okay. It just means that my life had shifted and I had to shift with it. It was a next chapter that he wrote in my life, and that's what happened. And so I had to grow through that. And whenever you're growing, it doesn't mean that things are going to be seamless, flawless, they're going to just flow so perfectly. It's like, as I'm growing and these things are hurting, these little growing pains, it's like, how do I return back to grace? How do I give grace to myself and not condemnation? So, what I want to encourage you all is to choose grace again, and then choose it again, and then choose it again, and then choose it again. Like, give yourself grace and say to yourself that, you know, I am not the exception to God's mercy. His grace applies to me too. And so he created each and every one of us, sons and daughters. And so God's mercy is just it's so amazing. And he gives us grace. So you just make sure that you give yourself grace in as you walk this life out, okay? Because it's y'all, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And at my big age, which I'm not gonna say what my big age is just yet, but at my big age, I kind of feel like there are some things that I am just now unveiling and becoming. And it's like talking to the little Janisha inside of me and nurturing and mothering the parts of her that were broken, being able to have that opportunity now to love on her and come out of that and see who she's becoming. It's a beautiful thing. And so I know with that is going to be some stumbling blocks. There's going to be some growth. There's going to be some tears. There's going to be all kinds of things. But as long as I keep God in the center of it all, I keep him first. I consider him and not my will. Everything's going to work out. Okay. And so that's all for today's video. I just wanted to share that with you. And then I also wanted to encourage you by saying that if nobody has told you this, you are not your worst decision. You are not too far gone. You are not disqualified. Okay. You are still becoming, you are still called. You are still the woman or man of God that God has chose you to be. We are God's chosen ones. If God has told me that I was his chosen one, and that just blew my mind because I always felt like I was, but I'm like, what does that really mean? And I'm still finding that out every single day. And since God chose me, he didn't change his mind about me. So I want you to today or whenever you're watching this video, um, just forgive yourself in those moments where you feel like you have a lot of regret going on. Just forgive yourself. Stop rehearsing the pain. Stop rehearsing the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Start receiving grace. Okay. So that's all. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. If this encouraged you, can you drop a heart in the comments, or type in "I will not live with regrets" below, and let's encourage each other, okay? Because I know I'm not the only one that God has been patient with, and there is someone that that needs to hear this. So I would certainly appreciate it if you would help me out and share that with someone. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Again, that notification bell. Come back and see me next Tuesday. Until next time, stay savvy, stay faithful, and keep trusting God. Peace.